Welcome back, folks, to another one of Emmanuel's resources in our series of not just surviving, but thriving as we're all hunkering down at home right now. You know, lots of great things on the horizon. Hopefully we will all get back to regular living at some point here very soon. But before we do, we've got some additional resources that we really want to share with you. I had on a little bit earlier, and if you hop back, you can check out those resources as well. But Samuel Voss, who is our General Manager, Culinary Operations, came on a little bit earlier to share with us about how to cook at home for one or two folks, and then also how to use easy, simple to grab ingredients from your refrigerator, staples that we all have. So if you didn't get a chance to hear that resource or find all that great information, make sure you hop back and check that out. It's right here on this very resource hub. So today, Samuel, welcome back again.
Hello.
Share with us, for folks who didn't join us for the earlier resource, just a little bit about your role at Emmanuel and exactly what your team does.
Sure. So I'm the general manager of culinary operations, and so my role is to truly oversee all of our communities and sites, all of the different aspects and components of dining. We currently, we have a wide variety of things that we offer within our department. Some of our communities have lounges and bars where we serve alcoholic beverages. A lot of them have really great dining venues that offer a wide variety of things. And so my team currently, we build that. So, looking at kind of trends, following buying patterns, making sure that we're up with competition, and really truly making sure that we're sort of one or two steps ahead of everybody else. So that's currently what we do on a daily basis. We truly want to, engage residents and make sure that we're delivering a very, very great product every single day for every meal.
Most definitely. Well, food is obviously a natural gathering point, and so at Emmanuel Communities, it's as much about the delectable taste, which you obviously craft with your team, but also the amazing experiences and the connectivity that you give to folks as they come together during the meal hours. Right now, it's a little bit different, right? We're all hunkered down at home trying to squash the curve and the spread of COVID-19. And as we do that, we're all maybe exploring the idea of cooking a little bit more than perhaps we were earlier. It's not as easy to go out to dine out as it used to be. A lot of restaurants right now are still not in full operation. And many of us, like I said, are cooking a lot more at home during these times of social distancing. So share with us some of the interesting cooking trends that you're seeing pop up as we spend more time at home and are, maybe spending just time with our spouse or our very small immediate family.
As COVID sort of kicked off a couple months ago, I think everybody sort of launched right into panic mode. And so it was interesting, going through the different supermarkets and stores and seeing the freezer sections cleaned out completely. And so it was neat to see all of the raw ingredients still on the shelf. And so you could go and get a roast, or you could go and get, wild rice and those kinds of things. But I think as we kind of have made our way now a month or so or 2 months in, I think folks are seeking maybe some different alternatives when it comes to that. And I think they're being a little more inventive on the front line in their own homes as they, kind of get through the COVID, the outbreak. But it's interesting to see that, a lot of the big websites, Food Network and those types of resources are creating sort of recipe guides and different pieces and things that you can do at home with family, or the challenges of cooking for one or two, or how do you do some meal prep and be able to process, if you buy one package of chicken, how do you stretch it? So there's a lot of different angles, I guess, that everybody's kind of taking right now in terms of the food service. But at the beginning, like I said, it was a little bit of a panic mode. And so now I think everybody's sort of leveling out and finding, I guess, a lack of a better term, is the new normal. But we're seeing, better utilization of whole muscle meats, maybe more of those raw ingredients, being able to cook and braise meats at home and really truly create a full meal. But on the backside of that too is, and you've got a small family or, even a big family, how do you get through those different challenges of, buying a 10-pound roast and for one person? And so I think we're looking right now at meal prepping and making sure that, if we cook a pot roast, how do we utilize that in other different meals, and how do we stretch that? So kind of a trend that's surfacing right now is moving back to sort of the Midwestern hot dishes. And so it's kind of it's an interesting time for that, because, as you've got all your families at home, and these things work really well to divide up and do some meal prepping. So they're a great kind of all-in-one encompassing meal in one pan. So they've got your vegetables, they've got your proteins, they've got your, your starches, et cetera. But there's a wide variety of these out there that can be done. And a lot of times, these can be completed with things that you have on hand in your pantry. You have that one bag of rice that's been in the back that you have no clue what to do with. So this would be a great opportunity to utilize that.
Definitely.
You've got 2 potatoes, that's not enough for 4. How do you utilize those 2 potatoes? And so this is a great opportunity to be able to bring something really hot to the table that's really impressive, that feeds and appeases everybody. So we're kind of looking right now, I'm going to share one hot dish with everybody, and it's a chicken noodle hot dish. And this has kind of been a favorite for us. In recipes, I guess, too, I'm going to share this good tip. Recipes are just basically a guideline. So if it calls for green beans, you can certainly add corn instead of green beans. Or if it calls for, cream of chicken soup, you can certainly utilize cream of mushroom soup. So there's really no right or wrong. And I think truly that's the best part about cooking, is just being creative.
Okay, that's music to my heart, because I absolutely have been substituting things my entire life. Sometimes it turns out okay, sometimes it's not so good, but that's definitely been something I've been into. And it's funny because my husband is very precise, so he likes the exact measurement of the exact thing that's on the recipe. So sometimes we kind of have to hold our tongue when we're cooking with each other.
Absolutely.
But music to my ears to hear from a professional that is absolutely okay to substitute, because recipes are just a guideline.
They are for sure. And so that's really where the creative component comes in. Even, in the industry, when we've got chefs that read recipes and things, and sometimes ingredients are just unavailable, and so how do you still offer something really good with coming up with a plan B, I call it. So yeah, definitely. I would recommend that pretty much at every meal. So go ahead and make those substitutions, even if there's something in there that's not desirable in your family. For example, if one doesn't like asparagus, you can certainly put green beans in there as well. So
Jumping back to the recipe. So we have some recipes, folks, that we'll share with you right here as a tip sheet. So make sure you can click on the link, download all those, and take those, I guess, to your kitchen, grab those to go and be able to prepare something new for this evening or tomorrow or the next day. But share with us a little bit, Samuel, for people who are maybe living alone, or they have just one other person with them that's living with them. For smaller families, some of these recipes might serve more people or have a larger serving or a larger portion size allocated in the recipe. How can we either adjust, or what are some really great ways? I know you mentioned repurposing some of the meals. Share with us a little bit more insights about that.
So back to kind of the earlier call that we were on, what's really been successful, I think, in a lot of households is truly writing a menu, for your own family, and for when you develop your weekly grocery list, write a menu out so you kind of know where you're headed to. So you kind of have a little bit of a roadmap. So if I buy 10 pounds of chicken, I can use it tonight for roasted chicken. I could debone that chicken, and tomorrow I can make chicken salad, and we could have sandwiches and serve it cold. So getting back to kind of the recipe today, these are great. Hot dishes are a great way to truly do a little bit of meal prep, because like I said before, you can put these in individual servings if you make one recipe and it serves 6. So essentially that's 6 meals for a single person. A lot of the stores, they carry these, freezer safe. They're kind of an aluminum portion pan that serves 1 or 2. And so this is a great way to kind of portion these out. And all of these things that I'm bringing freeze really well. And so, next time around when you're hungry and you want to get something for dinner, you literally just pull it out of the freezer and pop it into the oven and bake, and you've got dinner already done without any mess. And so that's the best piece about it. the hot dishes are a great opportunity because they sort of, it's like a complete meal in one pan. And so the best part about that is that you don't have to, have all these different pots and pans all over the place. And afterwards the cleanup is, you've got dishes stacked to the ceiling. But the best thing about these is you simply serve like a basic, just a green salad with it, and it's great. And so that would be my recommendation for that. And also for maybe folks that have one or two in the household and want to still create a pan, it's a great, maybe hand it to a neighbor or maybe give it to somebody that's not, not in maybe down the street, or somebody that might be in need that you could share that with. So it's a great piece there too.
Most definitely. And make sure you're socially distancing even as you're giving your lovely
Absolutely.
dish to somebody. Quick question
Absolutely.
for you, though. I'm sure you have, circling back to the idea of experimenting a little bit with your recipes, or being able to use recipes as a guideline, and then, of course, add on and make unique to your taste or your family's taste.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the really interesting ways as a chef that you or tips or ideas you might give us to try experimenting, specifically with the recipes that you're sharing with us today?
Let's take the chicken noodle hot dish that I'm sharing. Maybe noodles are just not a favorite. Pasta is not a favorite in a household. So you can certainly substitute that for rice, or you could certainly substitute that for potatoes. As I said before, if it's not, if cream of chicken soup is not desirable, you can certainly use a cream of celery, or you could use a cream of mushroom. So as long as you have sort of the basic components in there, and I know onion and garlic are one of those things that, you love them or you don't love them. And so you can omit those altogether, or maybe there's an herb or a spice blend that you like that you have on your, in your pantry. You can certainly use those things too. And, right now we sort of see at all the home stores that herbs and spices are coming in plants. And so I would encourage folks to plant those too. So you can incorporate even fresh herbs like parsley, or maybe some fresh basil or some fresh rosemary into these recipes as well. And of course, you could omit the two main ingredients as well. So if you wanted to go with potatoes instead of pasta, and you wanted to go with beef instead of chicken, you could certainly do that as well. So that's the best thing about these kind of recipes, is that they're very, very diverse, and you can do a lot of different things to them to make them tasty.
So you can you really can completely rework the entire
Truly.
recipe just using it, essentially as, I guess, your guideline for how you construct the next dish. I love that, Samuel. Those are really good insights. So I know that you and the team do a great deal of recipe preparation. In fact, I know we change our menus on a pretty frequent basis, and I want to dig into that in just a minute at a manual. But for folks who are really interested in it, and I know you've shared a couple of really great resources with us with these recipes in particular, and earlier with the dessert, we had some really fun, easy recipes that were 3 ingredients or less in our last resource. But where would you suggest people go if they really are interested in or have a renewed excitement about cooking in the kitchen and finding new interesting recipes? What are some good resources you'd direct us to?
I have a ton of cookbooks that I no longer use. And when I was going through culinary school, that was the thing. You just bought a bunch of resource and books and things. But the internet is such a great place. There's a lot of good kind of sites on there, but I really truly love America's Test Kitchen. All of those recipes on there that they utilize are tried and true, and so they give really great pointers. They give really good alternatives. Taste of Home is another good resource. My grandfather was actually in there for his pie baking, and so I still to this day get a copy of the Taste of Home every month. Food Network, I really truly feel kind of captured America at the beginning, and so it turned everybody into a foodie. But their recipes, I find, are sometimes too complex. They have maybe 1 or 2 or 3 ingredients too many, or the process seems a little bit too long, or the preparation time is just a little bit too long, or just the overall expense. And so truly, I think if you're trying to regain some passion and want to get back into the culinary world, maybe starting there and just looking through their site, but then venturing out of there quickly. I just, they kind of went down more of a, instead of a cooking site, they went to more of that commercialized, more of that, like you've got your cake wars and you've got all those different components on their site. And so I truly feel that maybe a Taste of Home or the other website would be much, much beneficial to somebody.
And I did not know that your grandfather was a pie genius. That's so
He is.
exciting.
He is.
So what kind of pie?
He had made all of his crust out of lard,
Oh,
and
wow.
never used any fake kind of additives or anything. But he would do, his pumpkin was probably the best that I've ever had, and his Dutch apple and his cherry was really good. He used the dark bean cherries in there, so it was very, very good.
Excellent. And I'm hoping that you walk away and have all of his amazing recipes somewhere filed away in a safekeeping place.
I sure do.
Wonderful. Well, folks, hopefully you have an amazing recipe in your family. And if you haven't, maybe this is a good time to dig it out and try it. This could be a good time to explore some of the family recipes that you have and or pass them along to some of your loved ones, some of the family
Mhm.
recipes that you have. Well, let's shift a little bit, Samuel, and shifting back to Emmanuel, you and your team do an extraordinary job in keeping our menus fresh because we have all these great dining venues and restaurants across the Emmanuel system with lots of different flavors and people that you're, trying to connect with and give them the best experience. How in the world do you find the right recipes, and how then also do you keep things fresh and rotating at Emmanuel? Will you share a little bit about
Sure.
that?
I will. So there's a lot of different pieces that make up that question. To one, it would be extremely daunting, but to us in the business, we sort of just understand. And so when we truly look at menu building in our cycles, so we cycle each menu 4 times a year. The menu is made up of between 20 and 25 different items. In addition to that, daily we have a catch and a feature. So residents truly have, the opportunity to pick something really, really good. But getting back to the process, it is a little bit strenuous, when you begin to compile all of the different pieces and tentacles, because truly right now we're also adding all of the macros and nutritionals to the menu, so we truly know kind of where we're at and from a dietary perspective. But getting back to kind of the selection is, a lot of times we take into consideration trends. So there's a lot of different components that we look at. Nutritionals, do we get maybe a little more healthy towards the summer? Seasonality weighs in on the selections as well. A lot of research goes in just in collaboration from my team internally, and also to kind of a resource that we've put together just recently with a kickoff, is we now have a culinary council. So we all kind of run recipes through and bring ideas to the table, figure out, if this is going to be truly sustainable, how, resident satisfaction weighs into that. If we put, Asian chicken skewers on the menu, is that truly a flavor that our residents are seeking? And so there's a lot of different ways that we measure kind of success, and truly, without having, any testing or data to go off of, the first run of a menu is generally the cycle that we utilize to get our data. And so there's a clear measurement on what is popular and what's not. And so that's when we start to go back and retweak the menu. And so placing things in like, maybe some favorites that the residents would have, like a meatloaf. Everybody's, gosh, we've had meatloaf my whole life. And yes, but you can present it really well, make it taste great. And so really just evaluating even the recipes as well. So that's kind of the process in a nutshell. But it does take quite a while, to get these cycles out, because there's, even outside of culinary operations, there's other departments that it needs to cycle through to make sure that we can execute it. So lots of different working pieces there.
I have to chuckle on that. Being in the sales and marketing department, we know very well how important all the different menu cycles are, because we enjoy collaborating with you, but there's a lot of little details to change in every menu whenever we change menu cycles. So
Absolutely.
Samuel, I'd love for you, does this parallel, the work that you're doing at Emmanuel, does this parallel the work that you did in your own restaurants as far as cycling menus and how you the philosophy behind how you respond to the customer's expectations and the residents' expectations?
Oh, absolutely. It's interesting to kind of have a manual, because we don't have dining rooms. We have restaurants, and we serve restaurant caliber ingredients and foods, and we use restaurant caliber recipes and guides, and we also hire just the restaurant caliber employees that have a pretty great competency in the overall business. And so we sort of take the exact same approach that a lot of restaurants take as well. And so we probably cycle our menus more frequently than some restaurants in the industry do. I know some restaurants are very, very active in menu cycling, but there are others that haven't had a menu rotation in 3 to 5 years. And so I'm really happy to say, even in my restaurants, we cycle just about as often as we do within a manual. So it's pretty standard how we approach kind of the culinary operations department within a manual.
See, I love this. I'm sure for folks out there who maybe wonder about what it's like to eat in a retirement community, it's not like eating in a hospital. It's not like a little thing of Jell-O that you're getting every day. I mean, the experience is a full restaurant experience. I'm curious as well, Samuel, as we're seeing, we've changed some of our daily operations, and we're not doing communal dining in our restaurants like we're doing takeout and, of course, in-room dining options, or I get delivery options, which is really great. Get everything delivered to your doorstep in our communities right now. But what are some of the most popular dishes and the most popular meals, the items off of the menu that you're seeing ordered right now?
That's an interesting question. So even, I was anticipating kind of an uptick to see a sales mix just in different aspects of a menu, but it follows just, the same trend as we would be in normal communal dining. The chef's feature and daily catch, or the fresh catch of the day, has been extremely popular. And that kind of is still today to a standard. So we're pushing between 75 and 80% of our residents selecting either the chef's feature or the daily catch on the menu. And so it's interesting to see, each community, they do have their kind of one-offs or nuances to their menus, and they do a great job with resident feedback, and they really know their residents. And so they know a lot of likes and dislikes. And so right now, especially with communal dining being shut down and kind of, trying to keep morale of the residents up, we're leaning on those community leaders to really come through and make sure that they're providing residents things that they truly love. I expect when communal dining reopens, those numbers, 75, maybe 75, 76% of the daily features and fresh catches will still be selected on menus in each of the venues.
So I think that what that really speaks to is that the chefs in each one of our communities, each one of your chefs has a really good pulse on what the residents really enjoy. They obviously really know their residents and are able to adjust, some of their specialties to fit the needs and the wants and desires of our residents.
Yep, certainly.
Well, Samuel, this has been really fantastic. I love that we slightly unpacked, another couple recipes that you can literally just switch out. I also love, and I will be sure to carry this on, folks, I hope that you carried this on as well, that recipes are just a framework that you can use as a good foundation, but adjust and make your own magic, and whatever your family likes or doesn't like, you can adjust to that as well. Those were fantastic tips, Samuel.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Well, that is it for this resource, folks. We have a whole host of additional things planned, so make sure that you're continuing to hop back, check out all of these resources here. At the click of a button, you can listen to all the great insights from Emmanuel's experts across our system and throughout our communities and our pathway centers. And of course, make sure you download the tip sheet. So with the click of a button, you can download these great recipes that Samuel shared with us today. And if you didn't get the chance, make sure you explore those recipes that Samuel shared with us just a little bit earlier. Those are also right here on the Resource Hub. Thanks again, Samuel. Really appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And folks, we'll be back again very shortly, same time and same place.